Hello everyone, I'm Jenna and this is Learn Academic English. As you may know, on this channel I teach intermediate and advanced level lessons, and the purpose of my channel is to help English learners take their language to a higher level, especially for school and work. That's why it's called Learn Academic English. So I just got home from work and I've been thinking about a lot of things that I want to share with you. And I decided to start kind of a chatty series where I come on here and I just kind of talk about some of the things that are on my mind to help you learn English better. These will be pretty informal. So today, let's talk about reading. When you read in English, should you read aloud? I'm thinking about this because I saw a YouTuber, she's not a teacher, but I saw a YouTuber talking about how English learners should read aloud to help them learn vocabulary. And I thought about that because I disagree and I actually teach reading. And so I'll talk about why I disagree with that idea. First of all, when you're reading in your language or in English, but especially in English, you want to think about what the purpose of your reading is. Are you reading for fun? In that case, just read however you feel like reading. Read quietly to help yourself absorb the story, or maybe you want to read aloud because you like to do that or you want to practice. So basically, reading aloud is a good idea if you want to do one of two things. First, if you want to practice reading aloud because you may need to read aloud in other situations. For example, if you're in school and you know that sometimes your teacher or professor will call on you to read aloud, then you might want to practice reading aloud in English at home. Second, you can read aloud to help yourself to improve your pronunciation of words. Reading aloud can help you to improve your pronunciation. You can read aloud to pronounce the words clearly, to pause in particular spots, like when there's a comma and a longer pause at the end of a sentence, or to practice your intonation and your stress to make it sound more interesting or dramatic. So definitely good practice if you want to improve your pronunciation or if you want to kind of play with using your voice to make different effects. However, in my opinion, that's the only reason that you should be reading aloud to yourself. All other reading that you should do should be with your mouth closed and just with your eyes. So let's talk about that. Why is it a good idea to read quietly or silently to yourself? Well, first of all, reading is a process that's done in the brain. And even though we use our eyes, it's definitely something that happens in the brain where the brain absorbs groups of words at a time. Most of the time, you should not be reading word for word. Instead, you should be reading groups of words together, but let your eyes do the work and then your brain will process the language. So the reason for this is that when you read in your first language, you definitely don't read word for word because that's how language works, that we learn language as groups of words or groups of thought instead of one word at a time. When we read quietly in English, we train our brain to do the same thing. And this has a couple of benefits. One benefit is that you're going to read a lot faster. If you want to read faster, stop reading aloud. Don't pronounce the words to yourself. Start reading quietly, silently, with your mouth closed, just with your eyes and your brain processing the ideas. Okay, maybe you don't need to read faster. Maybe that's not a goal for you. But reading silently also allows you to understand more. The reason for that is that when we read aloud, we're focusing on pronouncing the words, but we're not focused as much on the meaning. When we read silently, the brain is processing groups of words and thinking about the meaning. So it gives you more of an opportunity to absorb the story and to pick out the most interesting ideas as you go along. Now, keep in mind that reading in English also has another really useful benefit. That is to allow you to absorb natural language, how the language is used naturally by native speakers, and in the process, to pick up grammar. So we learn grammar through books and videos and at school, but reading in English is a great way for you to actually see how the grammar is used in real language. So you can also take a reading, and instead of just focusing on the meaning of the story, you can also start to analyze the sentences to look at the grammar. And that's a great way for you to improve your language too. When you're doing that, you're probably also going to want to do it silently so that you're not focused on the pronunciation, but instead you're focused on the words and the grammar structures in the sentences. So those are my 2 cents about reading aloud. I think reading aloud can be a really nice way for you to practice using your voice in the language, practicing pronunciation and speaking clearly. But otherwise, you probably should be reading silently. That helps you to understand more and to improve your reading speed, because reading happens with the eyes and the brain, not with the mouth. I would love to know your thoughts about this. Do you like to read in English? Do you usually read aloud or silently, and why? As always, please give this video a like and leave a comment if you found it helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you back here again soon. Take care.